MNH Not Just Radio. This is The Bliss with the Duke coming through to you on a Monday night, 9 until midnight. We're not only coming through to you on Mondays, but we do come through to you on Mondays and Wednesdays. And as always, I always have a jam-packed show. And tonight, I have a sister. I don't know what to call this segment. Is it the health corner or is it Ikumbi Labakulai? I don't know what to call it, but we'll find a name for it. Right, every night. And tonight we have Sister Nomfundo Dube. Sawubona siswam.
Sawubona unjani bhuti Duke?
Ngiyaphila unjani?
Ngiyayiphilela nami.
It's always nice to hear bonus, but by appeal, it's weird because you guys are supposed to be dealing with sick people and be catching those diseases. How do you save yourself from that? If actually,
Firstly, it's always nice to get a question yokuthi unjani from people because most of the time I'm the one who's asking people ukuthi banjani.
Oh yes.
So it's nice it's nice to get someone to ask ukuthi mina nginjani for once. But yeah, just trying to keep sane is having like hobbies on the side, having a life outside of my career, because one thing about nursing is a career that can consume you. It can take all aspects of your life if you don't try other aspects empilweni, like have hobbies, because you spend most of your hours at work. Everything almost revolves around work. So it's very important for you to have hobbies and things outside of your career that can just make you escape from inkinga and being sick and people who are sick and all of that.
I can imagine. My grandmother was a nurse. She's retired now, and one of the things that I was most concerned about is how do you guys deal with a failed resuscitation where a person comes through and you have to assist them and then you lose the person, the emotional part of it. How do you deal with such?
Oftentimes it's just to debrief as the staff after the resuscitation and just calm ourselves down to say these things happen. But it's a really challenging thing because whenever you start a resuscitation, you never started to fail it. You always start it to save a life, and it's always really demoralizing if the resus doesn't work, especially if it's a young person. You can tell that this person had a future ahead of themselves. They had a life together, and then you've tried everything that you could do, even when other colleagues are saying, no, stop, like it's over, stop, and you still go because you are just like, oh my God, can you just make it happen for this person? It's really challenging. It would have been nicer if we had stuff because we need it, and because we don't get it, oftentimes we just crash emotionally.
And I can imagine that when such happens, kuba nama situation lapho there's a family and you have to go back to the family and tell them that they didn't make it. Have you ever been in that situation?
That's the toughest thing anyone can go through. I mean, no matter how strong you are, no matter how professional you have to be, like you have to keep a poker face, be professional, not cry with the family because, I mean, you are their anchor at that point. So if you cry as well, you see, but it's very challenging because you are about to break certain people's hearts, and it's not always one, it's always multiple. Maybe it's like 5 people in one room and you have to tell them ukuthi they're breadwinner or the first person to make it to university or whatever the person is gone. We've tried everything and it has failed. To just witness or be in that situation at that moment really breaks everything, because you even forget that this is a professional setting. Your empathy just comes out and you find yourself sometimes crying with the patient, the family, because it's just too much to keep a poker face or keep professional at that setting.
Do you think there's enough structures to support nursing in the country?
Currently, no. I would love to say our health system is failing not only the public, but it's failing its soldiers. Its soldiers being nurses, doctors, every health professional at this point, but it's worse when it comes to nurses because nurses are the backbone of every hospital. They're the backbone of every clinic. Every clinic is run by a nurse. Every
True.
hospital, its anchors are nurses. They're there 24/7, no matter what happens. But the government, our health government, or the government in general, does not have, I want to say, resources in place to help nurses function at their most 100%. You can imagine when you're dealing with something that is lacking in the health system, whether it being the lack of linen, the lack of food, the lack of cleaning services. It's always the nurse that has to answer to the family because the family always gets to talk to the nurse most of the time. So you not only are you a nurse, but you turn into the kitchen lady, you turn into the cleaner. You have to make a plan for things that are out of your control because the family is looking at you. The patient is looking at you, which I'm cold, I don't have linen, I haven't eaten, the floor is dirty, why is everything like this? And at that time you are expected to render 100% nursing care, but your resources are at 10%, at 15%. And it's really frustrating because even when we cry, it's like we're just crying because we don't want to work anymore. It's like the new generation of nurses is always complaining, always crying about something. When you wanted to be a nurse, you know the sacrifice that comes with being a nurse, but it's really challenging emotionally, physically, spiritually, because you have to give your all when you are getting like 5% out of it, which is the salary. But a salary won't patch everything else that is going on in the health system or in the health sector.
Interesting that you speak of the new generation of nurses, and it leads me to know what are your reasons for wanting to be a nurse?
Particularly for me personally, I've always wanted to help people. Since I knew myself, since my cognitive was functioning, I always wanted to be a doctor. Rather, I always said, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor, until I got into matric, and then my results didn't lead me to get into the School of Medicine. Yeah. So I chose something that was close to medicine, or that would lead me to eventually getting into medicine. That's why I chose nursing. I love my career. I love helping people. It's very fulfilling knowing that someone is going to sleep better, or you have improved, even if it's just 5% of their life. But it's really fulfilling knowing that I've touched someone's life, I've made it better, whether it's just giving them information or just listening to them or just giving them treatment. But I've always wanted to help people. It's just unfortunate that currently the state of the world, or the country rather, it's sort of drawing the love out of the career. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Yeah, because we're dealing with a lot of stuff at this, lot of stuff that don't really push you further into loving the career. It's just dreading you to, like, I'm tired of this, but the love is there, the passion is there. I love helping people. It's just who I am. Even outside of being a nurse, I just love seeing someone smile because I did something to me, even if it's just a little bit of effort, just to see them change their mood. It fulfills me.
Okay. Were you already practicing in 2020 during COVID?
In 2020, it was my final year. I was doing my final year in nursing, but we ended up practicing because the country needed nurses to be at the forefront. So we were there as
How was it like,
students.
man?
Yeah, we were soldiering on as every other nurse.
And the mood
Yeah.
when you were patients were coming in like flies, I can imagine. How was the mood?
Yeah. It was a very scary time. I don't want to lie to you. It was scary in a sense where when you open the TV, it's the virus. You turn on the radio, they're speaking up about people dying on a daily. And now the president has said, okay, we are in short of nurses, we're in short of doctors, so let's rather also call fourth year students or final year medical and nursing students to come and help. And that time, when you get to like a hospital or clinic setting and you're a student, most of the time, because you have to be exposed to other stuff, they won't say, because you're just a student, do the easy stuff. You do actually things that nurses are doing, but you still have the mindset of a student. So it was very scary. Uguti, oh my God, what if I catch this thing? I take it home. What if I catch this thing? I take it home to my mother. My mother is old. What if someone dies in the care of my hands? Like, it was really challenging at that point.
Interesting. And you spoke about having not getting the results that will qualify you to be to study, in medicine at the time, but opted for nursing.
Yeah.
I want to know about the career growth when it comes to nursing. When you're in it, what are the other options when one is already practicing as a nurse?
Nursing, I don't want to lie, it's a very broad career if you are someone who is ambitious. It requires you to also push yourself to reach everything that you want, because if you're going to wait for your employer, then then you will be left behind. There are career opportunities. You can specialize in many fields of nursing. To name a few, you can be a pediatric nurse, you can be an oncology nurse that deals with cancer patients only, you can be a diabetic nurse that deals with just diabetic patients. But now, the problem is getting there, because I don't know if it's like that with other careers or not, but your employer, I think, should help you to reach your educational dreams or expand your career. But in our country, if you are a nurse, what is this word? Fund or practicing in public, it's rather difficult. But if you're in the private sector pushes their nurses to go to school, because obviously there is value for money, so you have to be on your A game every time. But when it comes to the public sector, because the government has to fund the studies, subsidize the studies, it becomes a challenge, because already they don't have the funds to pay other nurses, pay supporting staff, pay for resources to function at the hospital or clinic. So paying for education is also a burden to them. So you'll find very few nurses going to school per year. For an example, maybe in a ward that has maybe 30 nurses, you'll find that 2 nurses are going to school per year, or 1, or sometimes none, because there is no budget. So if you have the means to take yourself to school, then it's better that way, because you can push yourself outside of just waiting for your employer to take you to work. You can do short courses. There are other short courses that websites like Knowledge Hub offer, and they are accredited and they are free if you do them online. But for your longer courses like specializing and all of that, where you have to go to university, it needs you to pay for yourself if you are really, really ambitious like that and want to further your studies. Because if you wait for the government, then you can even wait for 10 years for them to take you to school.
Oh, interesting. Now,
Yeah.
there is something that has rather been very concerning, and that is prostate cancer.
Yeah.
I just want a brief knowledge with regards to it. I'm a layman, I'm an ignorant man, and I've just tuned into Ebonite Radio tonight, and I saw this poster saying there's going to be Dr. or Sister Nomfundo Dube, and I want to know about prostate cancer. What is prostate cancer and what causes it?
Prostate cancer is a cancer that only affects males. It only affects males only, and it develops in something that we call a prostate gland. A prostate gland is a gland that every man has. It is found in the male internal genitalia. So lapha endaweni yabesilisa, there is a gland inside which is responsible for producing seminal fluid, which is sperm or semen. So that gland, sometimes, or with age, as you age, iyakhula. Sometimes ikhula because it's growing because you are aging as well. Sometimes it grows because you are developing a cancer. So there is no really direct cause of cancer, but in ama risk factors. The risk factor number one would be age. Prostate cancer, it's most common guma dota above 40 years. That's why we encourage screening in males above 40 years, whether you have a chronic condition or you don't have a chronic condition. The second risk factor is family history. If there's family history of any type of cancer in the family, you as a man or ozalelana nabantu besifazane or other males who have had any type of cancer, whether a throat, whether a sibeletho, then you are also at risk of developing a prostate cancer, because it means now your body has cancer genes or cancer cells rather. And then we also have lifestyle factors. Lifestyle factors include smoking, ukuphuza utshwala kakhulu, and diet. Diet mainly eating red meat kakhulu, and it's common in our African males. You find that we eat a lot of red meat, and most commonly it only causes gouts, because in the gouts don't eat red meat. Yeah, because of gouts, but it actually is a risk, and it adds kuma chances of developing prostate cancer. Another risk factor that is not known kakhulu is uphila impilo that is, I don't know how to put it in isiZulu, but impilo estel, like you're not exercising, you are always in the house, or rather seated. An example is truck drivers, long distance truck drivers, because they will drive a long distance, number one. Number two, in that long distance they're driving, they don't eat proper food. They will rely on beans, bread, stuff like that, and they don't abaphuza amanzi kakhulu. They rely on energy drinks, caffeine a lot, because they have to stay awake. So most of the time, it has been proven that truck drivers develop prostate cancer kakhulu because they are always sitting, and diet is not good. So those are a few risk factors, to name a few, but there is no direct cause.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you spoke about risk age.
Yeah.
So when you're under 40, is there a chance? Is there a chance that you might have it?
Yes, there is a chance that you might have it, although it is very uncommon. But if you have a family history, if the risk factor that is affecting you is family history, then a cancer can hit you at any time. If that's the case, if you have a family history of cancer, it can hit you at any time, at any age. So it does happen to develop a prostate cancer when you're under 40, but it's very uncommon. It's usually common after 40.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard Umam Lilian Dube, who was battling with cancer at some point, I think. And she spoke, I remember on TV, she said, men must suck our breasts because
Yes.
that reduces breast cancer. Is
Yes.
that a case with prostate cancer? Is there any sexual activity that can actually reduce it?
Yes.
Okay.
It is advisable for a man or a young man, an old man to ejaculate at least every 2 days. Because
ngiyakuthanda wena dokotela. Cela ubatshele flabo mama, cela uyiphinde leyo.
Yes, it is advisable ukuthi a man must ejaculate. Nakhona if you're above the age, I mean the correct age, I'm not talking about someone who's below 18 and stuff like that.
Yes.
But if you're above the age, of course, it is advisable for you to ejaculate at least every 2 days, because the more semen stays in your scrotum is ngathi sac, in layman's terms, is your sac, where your semen stays. If it stays for long, it crystallizes, it atrophies, which could warm in a way, or it becomes unhealthy. We understand.
Okay.
So also that can be a risk factor of you having a prostate gland yakho enlarger. So it's very important for a male to ejaculate frequently.
So basically you're advising men to be abomselego because niyakhathala ngisho nini. So
Phela, there are other ways to do it. It's not only via having a woman or multiple. You can do it yourself.
No, guys, no. You know, I've always seen masturbation as demonic, because now I have to imagine things that are not there.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a no-go area. I'd rather have a second wife, guys, or a third wife.
You must not include morals into it, because if you follow my morals, then you are going to see the wrong side of it. Just think of the health benefits of it.
No, now you have just given us another man, a great excuse to have a side dish.
Yes.
And say,
for
my health, I'm doing this for my health.
No. Ladies. Oh Nkosi yami, imagine abomama balalele endlini ukuthi usisi to encourage into ezinjani.
What are the ways to check if one is at risk or has it?
All government clinics offer free screening and testing, but the testing, they don't necessarily test the prostate cancer itself. Okay. Firstly, screening is asking questions that are related to symptoms wakhona, right? Okay. So we will ask you about umchamo wakho. How is the flow of your urine? Do you have a good flow of urine? Your urinal flow should be consistent, like it shouldn't be zip. Okay. That is a symptom. We ask you if do you experience blood in your pee, because you're not supposed, at no point are you supposed to see blood in your pee. Okay. That is also another symptom. We also ask you about your erectile function. Are you able to keep your machine up for a long time? Can your machine still kickstart? You don't have to drink stuff and, stuff like that. Wake it up, because that's also another symptom. Do you also experience back pain, like chronic back pain or leg pain, or mhlampe ukuchama kakhulu at night? We call it nocturia, specifically at night. It's also another symptom. So that's the screening part of the diagnosing. And then if you say maybe yes to either two or three of those questions, and then we go to a blood work. In blood work, we are basically testing something called prostate specific antigen. It's like a hormone, right? This hormone in every male, it should be less than 4. If it's above 4, then it means your prostate gland, say kulile, and if it has grown, then it could be a cancer. Sometimes it's not a cancer, it's just a benign tumor, okusho ukuthi like ikhulile nje kuphela, and there are ways to reduce it. But if at all uthola ukuthi vele your PSA is above 4, and then we refer you to a government hospital again where it's free, bazokwenza biopsy, where they cut a piece of your prostate to check ukuthi the enlargement, is it due to cancer or not? And if it's cancer, and then they give you cancer treatment, which is radiation, surgery, sometimes by keeper, the prostate, they remove the entire prostate, or they give you radiation or chemotherapy. Yeah, those are the treatments that are available. So all of this is free if you are in a government institution and you're a South African citizen, of course. But if you're going the private route, then you'll have to pay for such services.
So would you say ukuthi imbiza, you spoke about it and thina singamadoda esintu ke
Yeah.
sasihamba siya lapha eFaraday elenke siyothola nje
Yeah.
mhlawumbe umhluzi nyana nje ukuthi
Yeah.
ngimsebenza umama. Would you say that can also cause? Is it risky to drink anything, any form of supplement for erection?
Yes, it is risky because now you don't know what is the cause of your weak erection, right? And when you go to mhlambe umuntu okusiza okulapha ngesintu, umuntu okulapha ngesintu naye won't give you umuthi based on the exact cause, right? Yena ukupha based on what he's used to treating lento onayo with. So in terms of dosage, they don't give you, sometimes, not most of the time, the correct dosage, or rather the specific medication that you need for lento onayo. Because sometimes uzothi, okay, umshini wami awusebenzi namhlanje, and you think, let me go to Gamaimai and buy impesu, which is the common thing that males buy. Kanti uthola ukuthi your machine is not working because you're stressed. You are just stressed. You're under a lot of stress, and if you reduce the stress or something that's stressing you, and everything goes back to normal. And the other risk of going to like traditional stuff, like drinking your mpesus, imbiza, it's the other side effects that they have on other parts of your body, which could not be your penis or your prostate or whatever, but your kidneys. Because remember, imbiza, impesu, nanani, every medication or everything that you drink, it dinga your liver, number one, to be metabolized, and then your puma excretion iyenza ngema kidneys. So sometimes those things are too strong for your kidney or too strong for your liver. That's why you'll find ukuthi umuntu uthe uphuza imbiza, next thing sekabuya amehla yelo, sekane jaundice. That jaundice is because they are now having liver failure because they drank something that is too much for their body or too much for their size of their weights. There are a lot of logistics that come with giving people medication and visas, none. You understand? So it's always advisable to visit your nearest clinic for free. There's always a male nurse around. It's very unfortunate that we don't have organizations such as Men's Health now because they were under USAID. I'm not sure about other parts of the country, but I just know in Gauteng, we are now enkingeni because Men's Health was under ANOVA and ANOVA was under USAID. And after this Trump thing, we no longer have those services where you would get a male who is going to give you advice, which, okay, now that you're saying your machine is not working, these are the tests that we're going to do, this is the screening that we're going to do, and this is the help that we're going to offer you before you say, izinto zesilungu zindlulile awuthi ngeke ngiyozama okwesintu.
Okay, before I talk about treatment, I want to know what's the worst case scenario? Masonayo prostate. You go to the doctor or to your clinic, you guys tell me I've got prostate cancer. Does it, like any other cancer, have stages? And what are the repercussions then? What's the worst case scenario?
So yes, it does have stages like any other cancer, and it's very unfortunate ukuthi in most males sithola say kuma end stages like your stage 3s and stage 4s because men, it's very common ukuthi they're reluctant ukuya kuma-clinic, they're reluctant with going to find help or even asking for help or even saying ukuthi kahle kahle mina nginenkinga so, because number one, it's embarrassing to them. So most of the time mase itholakala isuke sekuwukuthi sekumoshakele because naye bekangasazi ukuthi ayenzeni manje. That's when they went to the hospital mase bafika sebakutshela ukuthi hayi sekumoshakele. So the worst case scenario is, as it progresses, you lose your ability yokubamba umchamo. So number one, you will have urinary incontinence where so months. That's the worst symptom that you can have. Number two is actually losing the functionality of your entire genitalia, which means you can't get your machine up anymore. You can't ejaculate anymore. It basically cannot function. You can't even pee with it anymore. You rely on a pipe esifakayo inside of it, which we call a catheter. Yiyo ezokusiza ukuthi uchame. Nakhona umchamo wakhona awuzwa noma uphuma, you just so ubona nje isikhwama sesigcwele ukuthi oh actually bengiphethe umchamo or bengichama. So
serious?
Yes, that's the worst case scenario. There are a lot of men who are out there living with a catheter. We call it a catheter. So it's a pipe that goes through your urethra, so your penile opening. It goes straight to your bladder, and it drains urine straight from there. So basically your penis has lost all functionality. You can't pee with it anymore. You can't have sexual intercourse with it anymore. You can't do anything. You can't even reproduce anymore. You can't have kids anymore.
Yeah. What's the treatment when you've been diagnosed? Is there any treatment available?
Yes. So when you've been diagnosed, obviously, and it's cancer, then you'll have to go. It depends on the stage, right? Mm-hmm. If it's still at the earliest stage, like your stage 1 or stage 2, then they can do surgery, which we call a prostatectomy, which is the removal of the prostate. If it's still only around the prostate, only spread it to other parts of your body which are closed, like your bladder, your kidneys, and stuff like that, then keep her and prevent the spread of it, right? But if at all it has spread to other parts of your body, then they will try radiation, which they are burning the cancerous cells around the prostate. Now, it will be still at the earliest stages. Another treatment that they have, if it's still in the earliest stages, it's hormone therapy, because every man has a hormone that we call it testosterone, just like every woman has estrogen and progesterone. So they will try to give you a hormone that reduces your testosterone levels, because the more testosterone your body produces or your pituitary gland produces, then the more the cancer cell grows. I don't know if it makes sense.
Please repeat that.
So they will try to reduce the production of testosterone from your pituitary gland, ukuthi ingasakhuli this gland or this cancer. And then the last form of treatment that will be available, that would be if it's at its end stages, your fourth stage or your third stage, it's chemotherapy, just like any other cancer, where they just try to kill any cancer cell that you might have in your body because it has spread. Chemotherapy, it is administered via a drip, but its function is to just kill any cancer cell that you might have in your body. And if it works, because sometimes it doesn't work, it has spread so much that even chemotherapy, it doesn't work. But with some people, it does work and they recover. Then they just have to improve their lifestyle, because the thing about any type of cancer is that it has chances of coming back. Yeah.
Prostate cancer, can it kill you?
Yes, it can kill you. It can kill you definitely if it is spread to other parts of your body, if it is left untreated for a long time. Sometimes other people die of prostate cancer. Angazi nanokuthi prostate cancer. It's only found after they've done like a post-mortem or they've run tests. Actually, what was the cause of death? And they realize, oh, this person actually had a prostate cancer. It was just not detected or managed at an earlier stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Is there anything I left, Doc, with regards to prostate cancer?
I think it would be the prevention. How do you prevent it? Or rather, not prevent it, reduce the risk.
yokuqala sesiyayazi ile 2 days le ibalulekile ya
Yeah, that's the 2 days. And please, people must bear in mind, it's not prevention, it's reducing the risk of it, because there's no prevention for any type of cancer. But number one, yes, it's that one. Regular ejaculation is good for men to reduce their chances of having prostate cancer. Number two would be just any form of physical exercise, any type of exercise, whether it's walking, running, going to the gym, and all of that. And number two, it's drinking water. We have a problem in the country where males do not drink water, and water is very important.
I'm guilty as charged. Like you need to force me.
Yes. It's very important for you guys to prioritize water. I always advise men, Uguti, every time you have a meal, because it's hard for you to go to the tap or have a bottle of water randomly. But after every meal, make sure you drink it down with water. Not juice, not Coke, not Dragon, not Switch. Just water. And nalaba long distance, because they rely on what's this energy drinks a lot. We are not saying don't drink the energy drinks, but we are saying you can't have an energy drink every day. You can't have 3 energy drinks in one day. If whatever you are drinking, whether it's Coke, after the Coke, drink water. It's very important for you guys to drink water. Another thing is having a balanced diet. It's very common ukuthi abo baba bethu badle strateni, inyama enhloko, chicken dust. Chicken dust, yabona, kota, fast food. And the danger of fast food is that you don't know how it was prepared. Who prepared it, ufakeni, amafutha wasebenzisile awanini, how clean were the utensils, how fresh are the ingredients. So I always advise people to try limiting takeaways. If you have a wife at home, kudos for you. If you have a girlfriend at home, kudos for you. Ask them to cook for you. But if you don't, then you have to take the responsibility to try to cook for yourself, because ukudla kwasestradeni, especially processed food like inyama zenhloko, inyama kakhulu, red meat, braai, inyama enhloko, it's very unhealthy if you overeat it. You understand? Once in a while won't hurt, but not every day.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. So less beef, right? And then another important thing is early and frequent screening. It's not always the case ukuthi when you go to the clinic when you're sick, ukuthi sengiphethwe idolo or sengiphethwe umqolo, you can go to the clinic and ask for screening services only. You just walk in, hi, my name is so and so, I am 40 years old, I don't have any chronic condition, ngicela nje ukucheck. Ufuna ukuchecka nimuntu omdala, yonke into echekekayo, shukela, high blood, prostate cancer, TB, screening services are free of charge, and nobody is going to turn you away and say, we are dinner or you are wasting resources. No. Especially if you're above 40, I would advise that you get tested for a prostate every year if you're above 40. It's just a blood test. that is drawn from your arm or any vein that is available. And then after 3 to 4 days, you find ama blood results saying ukuthi you are in the clear or your prostate gland is enlarged. Ekuqaleni, many men still have this mindset, but it's not a mindset, it's actually a reality of something that was happening where a prostate was being checked manually.
Oh.
So through your rectum.
Oh, yeah. Cabanga nje labo nesi sebakubamba.
Yes. So that enye into ebeyenza ukuthi abantu bangayicheki kakhulu because umuntu ozosho ukuthi hayibo cabanga nje sengehlisa ibruko umuntu wesifazane sekangifaka iminwe lapha emuva angeke ngize ngiyenze lento leyo.
Ngingashona.
Yeah, understand. So that's why they came up with this way. You would say, okay, let's rather check the hormone because the hormone will tell us, man, this hormone is being produced a lot. This person is at risk of having this thing, and then see vimba ikusase early. So please, guys, prioritize going to the clinic and just ask to be checked. Checked. They will do it for free of charge.
Ness, are you in a position to give your details?
Yes, I can give my details. I don't mind. If anyone, I offer health education. I believe the basic form of healthcare is education. Sometimes people die because they don't know. Sometimes people die because uhlele endlini ucabanga ukuthi lento emphethe eyakhe ayi-one or it's never been heard of. Kanti uthola ukuthi it's something so simple and it can be treated or managed at an early stage. It's just a matter of information. So if you have anything to ask me, whether anything health related, please, not personal, you can find me at Nomfundo Dube in all social media platforms. So on Facebook, I'm Nomfundo Dube. On Instagram, I'm Nomfundo_Dube_. Same as TikTok, it's Nomfundo_Dube_. On Twitter, it's Nomfundo_Dube. And then if you want my services, unfortunately, I'm based at one clinic, which is Protea South Clinic. And unfortunately, I only deal with people around my catchment area and not just and not just everyone. But God willing, I'm going to start my own practice where I can see anyone and everyone from every space in the country.
Sister, thank you so much. I learned a lot. And my takeaway, like any other man, is the 2 days thing. So I
Leo, I'm sure everybody heard it very well and clear.
Sister Nomfundo, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. And I know the Ebonites will be rooting for you to come back.
Thank you. I would really appreciate it. I'm always happy to share information, always happy to make someone's life better. So I'd be very honored to come back. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.